Hello, and welcome to the Feeling Good podcast, where you can learn powerful techniques to change the way you feel. I am your host, Dr. Rhonda Borowski, and joining me here in the Murrieta studio is Dr. David Burns. Dr. Burns is a pioneer in the development of cognitive behavioral therapy and the creator of the new TEAM therapy. He is the author of Feeling Good, which has sold over 5 million copies in the United States and has been translated into over 30 languages. His latest book, Feeling Great, contains powerful new techniques that make rapid recovery possible for many people struggling with depression and anxiety. Dr. Burns is currently an emeritus adjunct professor of clinical psychiatry at Stanford University School of Medicine.
Hello there, Rhonda.
Hi, David, and welcome to all of our listeners. This is the Feeling Good podcast, and we're on 427. And today we're concluding the podcast episodes with Joshua Gibson, listening to the personal work that the two of you did. And tell us, how did you come about from being a guest on Joshua's podcast, Philosophical Weightlifting, to doing personal work with him?
Well, it was just a great hour with you, Joshua. It seemed very open and warm and vulnerable and real. And I got a chance to tell a couple stories from my clinical practice that were pretty important in my career and my evolution. And then at the end, you said, could I demonstrate how a couple of these techniques work? And I said, well, sure, if you give me a few of your negative thoughts. And you gave me 4 of your negative thoughts, and we got into it and evolved into an actual live therapy session. And we didn't have a lot of time, but we actually managed to cram the whole session into 45 minutes rather than the 2 hours I usually spend. And it was just so rewarding and emotional, and it was just fantastic. And then someone on our team, our Feeling Great app team, did an analysis of it, and that'll be included in the show notes as well. But instead of talking about it, we should probably dive in. But let me ask you, what were you thinking there when we transitioned from the podcast into the live work?
Yeah, one, it was kind of nerve-wracking for me to ask if we could do that, but I thought it'd be really fun because I listened to you on the psychiatry and psychotherapy podcast. You had a fantastic interview with Dr. David Puder, and you talked about imposter syndrome and vulnerability. And I was like, oh, that would be really fun to almost recreate that on my podcast as well. And I went into it really nervous and kind of unsure. And honestly, having the ability to experience that firsthand just connected so many of the dots around the concepts you discuss at length in the podcast and in your books. Which I found very helpful for myself. So I thought it was an absolute honor and really insightful and helpful to get a good sense of what those techniques really mean.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and dive right in. We hope you enjoy it. And then at the end, we'll have a follow-up. How is Joshua doing, a week or however long later? We'll do a little brief relapse prevention training, and so you're in, I think, for quite a treat. It was. I love my work working with people, because when you impact another person, you're impacting yourself, and when you bring another person to joy and liberation, you bring yourself to the same thing. And so that's why I love what I'm doing, and this session was no exception at all. It was really huge. It was wonderful.
You're incredibly astute, and also the way you can bring in these concepts that shared variance. I'm thinking about spread of the data. It's got me thinking about, heliocentrism and all these concepts and putting big words to them. That's fun for me. So thank you. The last thing, I think we talked a lot, and I'm kind of a little nervous to ask this, but we talked a lot about team. Could we role play a little bit to give an idea to the listeners of what that is actually like?
Yeah, so sure we can. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if they haven't listened to a podcast, they would have a sense of what they could expect.
Yeah, well, I've developed over 100 techniques to help people with negative thoughts that trigger negative feelings, and I can illustrate one of the most powerful. It was the first one I created because when I was going to Beck's seminars, he talked about having these distorted thoughts, like with all or nothing thinking and self-blame and mental filtering and hidden should statements. And he had techniques that were innovative at the time, like examine the evidence or do an experiment and test what you're telling yourself or things of that nature. But they were a little intellectual and a little dry. And I created this technique called the externalization of voices, where it's a role-playing technique, and the therapist and patient become the same person, the patient, and one plays the negative voice in the patient's brain, and one plays the positive voice in the nation's brain, and then you go back and forth and see if the positive self can defeat the negative self, can crush these negative thoughts. And if you, let me jot down, if you have some negative thoughts, perhaps ones that you've had, I'll jot them down here, and then we can use them. If you want to do this, which will be fun, it may succeed, it may fail. And part of my philosophy is fail as fast as you can, because the faster you fail, the faster you get to the technique that works. Yeah. And there's so many techniques. But what negative thoughts have you had during moments of self-doubt, or have you?
I've had many. I would say that I struggle with self-esteem and self-worth, and I have this overarching or overwhelming feeling that I won't be successful and I won't kind of live the life that I would like to live.
Okay, let me write those down. Okay. Number one, I won't be successful.
Yes.
And number two, I won't live the life I want to live. And it's important, listeners, if you're upset, to write down your negative thoughts on a piece of paper. It doesn't seem like much, but it's the vitally important first step. Any others? Those are great. Those are my favorites, by the way. We've done we have all therapists in the Tuesday group. But I ask them, how many of you sometimes have the thought, I'm not good enough? And at least 90% of the hands go up. And these are theoretically successful mental health professionals. Then I ask, how many of you sometimes struggle pretty severely with believing those thoughts and feeling inadequate and anxious and depressed and down and unhappy, and all the hands go up. And I imagine of the people listening to your show, I want to live. Any others? Those are my fabulous.
Yeah, related to intimate connections, I won't find love, like romantic love.
Yeah, we might have to have a separate session on that. We could record it, and then if you want to publish it, you could publish it.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
Because, I've been puzzled about that, because here you are, this hunky, handsome, muscular, smart, charming, warm fellow with dating problems, and I would be so excited to uncork your champagne bottle and see what's hanging you up. Can you give me a rough idea of what happens that's impairing your dating? Because I would imagine women are throwing themselves at you constantly.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say on a podcast. I think I'm ugly, so I think I'm not attractive and worth being with.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, oh, okay. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I'm not attractive. I've always had that thought too, because when I was little, um, I I was cross-eyed. I had to have surgery, and then I had siblings who had been adopted because my parents thought they couldn't have children,
Mm.
and I had two sisters that were 7 years older, and but I didn't know that they were adopted and that I was the only naturally born one because I came along unexpectedly after my parents had given up and adopted three kids, and I think they thought I was spoiled or a brat or whatever, and I probably was. I mean, I don't know, but they used to just tease the hell out of me and called me like bag of bones because I was real skinny. And, and I squinted. I still do. I try to remember to see my eyes are
Mm.
open. I can't open my eyes. But I, uh, I used to feel pretty inadequate. I
Mm.
would say intensely inadequate in that way. And I had a fear of cameras up till two
Mm.
years ago, because
Wow.
whenever I would take a picture, I'd be squinting, and I had a crooked smile, and they would laugh at me and tell me I looked ridiculous, and I'm sure I did. And so that was something I had to kind of get over as well. But so let's just work with these here. Um, Before we challenge them with externalization of voices, let's do a little, kind of paradoxical agenda setting. And do these four thoughts: I won't be successful, I won't live the life I want to live, I won't find love, and I'm not attractive. Are these thoughts upsetting to you?
They're very defeating. They feel like even if I were to intellectualize them and reject them, that it's just true regardless.
Yeah, that they're true. And do
Yeah.
those thoughts makes you feel sad and down?
Yeah, it makes me feel hopeless.
Yeah, hopeless,
Yeah.
defeated. Do you feel anxious? How anxious do you
I,
feel?
I, I,
0 to 100.
I would say, uh, yesterday I felt probably at like a 90 to 95 for various reasons, but I'd say it definitely contributes, to I deal with
Anxious,
anxiety quite a bit.
a 95. How sad and down?
I would say probably the same 90, just thinking about, the trajectory of my
Sure.
life and where it's going.
Do you feel guilty or ashamed?
Yes, I'd say I feel probably like 85, 90 with those as well.
Okay, 85 to 90 on guilt and shame. How inadequate?
90,
And how alone or lonely or rejected?
like 85.
Wow,
Yeah.
85. And then how embarrassed or humiliated?
90,
And how hopeless or discouraged?
I'd say 85.
85. Let's see, how frustrated?
A little bit less, I'd say 70.
And how angry?
Um,
Resentful, annoyed, irritated?
with myself, I would say that's like 75.
75. Any other negative feelings?
I would say those are probably the overwhelming feelings: shame, embarrassment,
Yeah. Okay.
hopelessness.
Sure. Um, Now, yeah, I'm so sad to hear because these scores are really intense. And there's another point that we were talking about because, if the goal of our work is to reduce these feelings, then we want to know how severe they are. And if I or maybe any of your listeners were to rate how you feel in these, let's see, 9 dimensions, we would be way off, because I would say, oh,
Yeah.
this is a happy guy. He's got it all. And then, but in point of fact, your suffering inside is incredibly intense, almost beyond human understanding, for someone to grasp just how profound your anxiety is, and your sadness, and your guilt, and inadequacy, your loneliness, embarrassment, and hopelessness, and frustration, and anger. And I want you to know that when I hear that, and hear what a wonderful person you are, I just like and admire you so tremendously. I feel sad that you're hurting this much inside. How accurately am I kind of getting how you're thinking and feeling?
Yeah, I would say that that's very accurate. I think like there's an aspect of like loneliness and maybe being understood, and I know that people very close to me, like my best friends, I can talk to them and they'll empathize. But professionally, it's hard to communicate that and feel authentic and be able to show up in a way that I'm actually feeling. I feel like you kind of have to wear a mask and put your best
Right.
clothes on, so to speak, and that makes it even more difficult. It's like
Yeah.
I would just rather tell someone like I am really struggling and doing the best I
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
Yeah, the profound loneliness.
Yeah.
Let me. I kind of hate to push this and move rapidly, but I'll try that anyway. Suppose we work together really successfully, and at the end of our session, you said, "Wow, that really knocked my socks off." What would happen? What would you be hoping for?
To kind of circle back to a talking point in the podcast, I just like to find more congruence between how I show up and then how I feel, and then for that to feel like it's enough, and not that it needs to be different or it needs to change.
Right. So would that involve no longer believing these messages so strongly, and no longer believing these negative feelings so strongly?
I'd say a majority of them, yes. Yeah. But
Yeah. Which are the ones that you might not want to let go of? The thoughts or feelings.
I think frustration is good, because when I've worked really hard on a lot of things for 5-10 years, and that frustration has pushed me to keep working on it.
Oh, I love that. Let me write that down here. In fact, let's do this with all of your feelings. The frustration. It you say it's motivated me to work on myself.
Yes.
Yeah, and also motivated me to work. Another good thing about frustration is that it shows you haven't given up. Right?
Yep.
Is that a good thing?
That's a great thing.
Yeah. Haven't given up. Frustration was the hardest one for me to figure out what was good about it when I first developed positive reframing. And the second hardest one was hopelessness. What are some good things about your anxiety?
It does give me that ability to start working on something that I'm very fearful of. We talked about statistics, and to tackle a big project, I feel very anxious that I'm not capable and prepared. But that anxiety on the other side of it is, well, I should do it to be able to, or I could do it to be able to then learn it and understand it and become more proficient at it.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. I have that same thought, every day. It's like a go-to thought. Like I have to do something. Like I had to check something in our bank balance, something like some financial thing. My wife takes care of things, and then my automatic thought, well, I'm not going to be able to figure out how to do this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it seems very real. I might put it off for a day or two.
Yeah.
So that and any other good things about anxiety, it kind of motivates you to face your fears.
And it probably keeps me from doing anything that would actually be hurtful or like something that would actually like put me at risk. So it does keep me
Yeah,
safe. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Is that important?
That's very important.
Is that real?
That's very real.
Is that important, or is that powerful?
That's very powerful. Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Um, and then how about what's really beautiful and awesome about your sadness? In fact, there's 3 questions we can ask about each negative feeling. Why is this appropriate? How does it help me? And what does it show about my core values that's
Right.
positive and awesome?
Yeah. I would say that the thing that overwhelmingly comes to mind is that I really care about other people.
Okay,
And
let me write that down. Maybe I can send you the list later. I don't know if you're writing any of these down.
I'm not. No.
It's highly desirable to
Okay.
write them down. If you have a piece of paper there, care
Okay.
about others, because this is so important, the things that you're saying here. Um, what else does the sadness show about you that's positive and awesome, or how does it help you? Or
I would say it shows me that I have high expectations that I can achieve something and can be successful at what I do and work toward, and that I'm just on one side of it or experiencing the side where I'm working toward that. So
yeah, yeah, that you have high standards, high
yeah,
expectations. Is that real?
that's very real.
Is that powerful?
It's very powerful.
Is that
Yes,
important?
it's very important.
What else does your sadness show about you that's that how does that help you? What are some awesome things about it, or why is it appropriate?
It's very important that I experience sadness, because I can also experience and understand other people who are going through the same thing. So my mom is having a bunch of tests done to figure out why she's having certain symptoms, and to be able to empathize with her, and kind of share my feelings about what she's going through is very important to me.
Well, yeah, is that a beautiful thing?
It's very beautiful. Yes.
Um, yeah, the sadness is the source of your compassion.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's really neat. How about guilt and shame? What
Yeah, I would say guilt is the thing I appreciate about it is that it shows me that I can do something else to, I can live up to the expectations that I've set for other people and for myself. So I can accomplish, I can have really big achievements, and I can find success. I don't like shame as much. Shame just generally feels bad. So I don't know how many positives I could find in that.
Yeah, well, as long as you found some for guilt, that's good enough.
Okay.
The inadequacy is really huge. What are some really awesome things about feeling inadequate?
It's kind of that same idea as guilt. It allows me to improve in areas that I feel like I have a lot of room to grow. So it shows
That
me,
you're honest.
yes, yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly right. Yeah,
honest about areas. areas to improve. To improve, and what are some other awesome things about inadequacy?
It also is, it's humbling. I think it allows me
Yeah.
to kind of keep a so-called level head and realize, like, everyone's going through similar things. Everyone's struggling, and that inadequacy is part of understanding that there are a lot of similarities.
Yeah, because you see, although you feel ugly, the other people will be perceiving you as this good-looking, hunky, successful, intimidating, smart guy, right?
Yeah.
And then that could make them be hard to be with you because they would
Right.
feel inadequate,
Yeah.
and that your humility adds to your attractiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That there's a beautiful warmth about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome. What's really great about your loneliness?
It's allowed me to develop a lot of independence. It allowed me to have so many experiences that I don't think I would have had if I wouldn't have felt lonely and sought out community and things that I think would help me develop as a person and become more capable. So
Yeah, like right now.
yeah, that's exactly right.
That's so cool. I love it. How about what's great about embarrassment and humiliation? They don't sound very good.
I would say they allow you to kind of function around other people in more socially desirable ways.
Yeah, is that important?
It's very important.
Yeah, uh, yeah. It's kind of lacking in the world these days too.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
yeah, I think that's right.
Uh, how about hopelessness? You're 85% hopeless.
Yeah,
What could possibly be good about that?
I would say it's another driving force. It really pushes me to do everything in my power to prevent it, basically, to restore hope. It really
Yeah,
works towards that.
that's huge. What are some other cool things about hopelessness?
Kind of struggling to come up with something else.
Okay, well, this was the second hardest for me, and it took
Yeah.
me like a month or two. And I was, used to have these Sunday hikes. I'm starting them up again. I can't go as far because I've developed low back pain when I walk, so I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out some way to get over that. But maybe I need to come to you for some, back strengthening exercises. But we used to go 6, 8 miles, and I
Wow.
was up on this thing called Roos Ridge. And this woman was telling me that she was hopeless, and I think she thought she wasn't like smart enough, and she's a really good-looking woman, but she thinks she's not very smart, and she's socially anxious, and she's afraid she'll have a date, and her mind will go blank, and then the fellow won't like her.
Yeah.
And I was asking her, well, what's great about hopelessness, and suddenly kind of popped into my mind. And the things, one of them was, does it show that you're a critical thinker? In other words, you're looking at a lot of failures in achieving what you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah. I
Is
would
that
say
important?
that's very important.
And also, does it protect you from disappointment?
Yeah, I think that would be one of the most important parts of it.
Yeah,
But,
and that's important. And then we're almost done with this, and then we'll get on to what you were asking for. But how frustrated would you want to feel? You say that's helped you in your well, or like what are again? Or do we write down frustration first? Oh yeah, we've already done frustration, and then so we're down to angry at yourself. What's good about being angry with yourself?
it shows that I think it shows also that I have high expectations and that I can see things through and I can be successful. And that anger is a part of like almost the friction of not achieving it, or being
Yeah.
able to do it. So it's kind of in line with frustration. And anger is something that in my childhood I felt like was just solely negative and solely kind of like used in a really kind of like aggressive, judgmental way. And I think having it in this context is way more helpful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, awesome. Now let's see how many positives we've got here. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And we've got 16 positives for all of these negative feelings. And we could add to this list, but we've got a pretty big list right now. And are these things we've listed, like embarrassment helps me function in socially desirable ways, and hopelessness protects me from disappointment, and loneliness has allowed me to develop independence and has also motivated me to seek out the community of other people and learn new things, and the frustrations motivated me to work hard, and shows I haven't given up, and all these advantages, are they real?
They're very real. Yes.
Are they powerful?
Incredibly powerful.
Are they important?
Very important. Yes.
So then it would seem like our goal today might not be to get rid of them, press a magic button, have them all disappear, because all these positives would disappear.
Right.
But would there be a lower level of these emotions that might preserve all those positives and allow you to feel less anxious and depressed and so forth?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
What the anxiety's 95. If we had a goal for that today, how much anxiety would you want?
Yeah, the number that comes to mind is around 20.
20, okay. Is that enough?
I think that's plenty. Yes.
Okay. Your sadness is 90. How sad would you like to be today?
I've experienced a little bit of sadness during our conversation when you relate stories about people you've worked with and their life experiences, and that was really beautiful actually to do that on the podcast. I would say maybe a 10 or 15. 10
to 15, yeah. Yeah, in fact, I know what you mean. Sometimes, there's a healthy kind of sadness, and then there's an unhealthy kind of depression. But I sometimes think of sadness as celebration, that to really be able to care and to connect with the suffering of other people, to be aware of it is it's the greatest gift of all, to my way of thinking. The guilt is 85 to 90. How guilty would you like to be feeling?
I'd say that's probably 15 as well.
15, great. And then how inadequate? That's 90. What would be a really optimal level of inadequacy?
Like 10.
Is that enough inadequacy?
I think that's plenty. I think that's plenty.
Okay. How lonely? That was 85.
I'd say 20. I'd say
20.
I'd say 20.
Great.
I think loneliness is a good driver of kind of getting out and exploring the world.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, absolutely. How embarrassed do you want to feel today?
Like 10 to 15.
10 to 15.
Yeah.
How hopeless? That's 85.
I'd say 20.
20. And how
Yeah.
frustrated? That was 70.
I think 20 is also good for that too.
20. And angry at myself. That's 75.
Maybe 5. I don't. Anger doesn't feel as helpful.
Awesome. And so now we just did, first I did empathy. I'm going through the testing we did, empathy we did, paradoxical agenda setting we did, and now we're to methods. And we can, which of these 4 thoughts would you like to tackle first? I won't be successful. I won't live the life I want to live. I won't find love. I'm not attractive.
I'd say I'm not attractive.
Okay. And then let's see how much you believe each of these when you're upset. How much do you believe I'm not attractive?
I would say 100%.
100. And then how much do I believe I won't find love?
I'd say that's like 90%.
90%. And how much do you believe I won't live the life I want to live?
Yeah, it's probably 90% too.
And then how much do I believe I won't be successful?
It's like 85%.
Great. Now let's start with this thought, I'm not attractive. You're probably familiar with the cognitive distortions. I don't know if you have a list of them in front of you right now. I could maybe, I don't know if I could bring one up and share my screen, but well, I could tell you some the names of them, and you can say yes or no. How about that?
Okay, that sounds great. Yeah.
Is this the first? Is all or nothing thinking, looking at things in black and white. Would this be an example of all or nothing thinking?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And you're right on that. And imagine I'm like in fourth grade, and you want to explain it to me why that is a distortion.
Because it's assuming that for all of the people who exist to perceive me, I'm saying that no one would find me attractive.
Mm-hmm. And then why is that unrealistic?
Because I would be assuming that people have the same preferences and standards as me. Yeah.
Yeah. And why is that not correct? Why is that erroneous?
They're individual differences is really powerful and very real. So I think everyone has their own preference and own
Right.
thoughts. Yeah.
Right. And then why is that thought unfair?
Because
Not
it's
only distorted, but unfair. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an unrealistic standard.
Yes. And why is it an unrealistic standard unfair?
Because I would say because it's untrue. So it's adhering to something that's untrue. Yeah.
Yeah, but what's the impact of believing something that's untrue?
It makes me. I'm not sure I have a good answer for that.
Okay. Well, that's okay. That's fine. And we could go through all 10 distortions, but we probably have enough ammunition here already.
Yeah.
Now, we could start out with one of two techniques, the externalization of voices, which is a very aggressive technique, or the double standard technique, which is a little gentler technique, and then we could start with that and then go into externalization of voices for crunch time.
Mm-hmm. That sounds great. Let's do that.
Oh, okay. Let's imagine that I am a friend of yours. We'll do the double standard technique in a role play format.
Okay.
And give me a name, not a current friend, but just say someone who's not one of your real friends, but this would be a friend.
Okay.
Your friend.
Let's say Corey.
Corey, I'm Corey. And let's say that I look like you, I have all of your strengths, I have all of your weaknesses, I grew up in a similar home as you. In fact, I'm like a clone of yours, or a long-lost identical twin. And I want to see how you would talk to me. So I have all your strengths, I have all your weaknesses. I got all the grades you got in school. I dropped out of school. I went back. I've got this podcast that I'm doing, but I'm a dear friend and a different person. Could I talk to you for a minute, Joshua?
Yeah, of course.
I have this problem. I just wanted to see what you think. I've been working really hard on my life and my podcast and my career and my coaching, and a lot of things are coming along pretty well for me. But I'm would really like to find my partner, my mate, someone to share my life with, and I want to find love, and I'm telling myself that I'm just not attractive, not attractive enough. What do you think?
I think you look great. I think you're a very attractive person. Yeah.
Okay. Now that helps me a little bit, but let me ask you this question now, Joshua, because and I really want to believe what you just said, but I want to find out: are you being honest with me, or are you just blowing smoke in my face and trying to cheer me up with some fake crap?
Yeah. I'm being honest with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So. And so if that is true for me, and I look exactly like you, would that be true for you as well?
Yes.
Okay. Was that helpful to you?
Yes, it was helpful.
Okay. And right now, how much do you believe I'm not attractive on a 0 to 100? What your real belief is?
Maybe 50.
Oh, great. That's good. Now we'll crank into the more aggressive thing.
Okay.
And this time, your name is Joshua, and you know what my name is?
What's that?
Huh?
What's that?
Joshua.
Okay.
And one of us will be the negative Joshua, and one will be the positive Joshua.
Okay.
And you can start out in either role that you want.
Okay. I'll start off as the negative Joshua.
Yeah, okay, great. Oh, this is wonderful. Yeah. And I'm glad we're recording this because you can listen to the recording later. So you're going to be the negative one?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so you speak in the second person you,
Okay.
and I'll speak in the first person I. Well, let me just try it the other way around first.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to be the negative Joshua, and you be the positive Joshua.
Okay.
And I want you to see if you can defeat me. Then we'll do a role reversal.
Okay. That sounds great.
Okay. Could I talk to you for a minute, Joshua?
Yes, of course.
You know who I am.
I do know who you are.
I'm that negative voice in your brain, and I didn't want to upset you or anything because I know you're having a lot of fun with that con artist, Dr. Burns, and but I just wanted to tell you that you should just face the truth. I'm talking now about the ultimate truth. Is you're just not attractive.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to hurt your feelings or anything, but that's the, as the Buddha said so many years ago, that's the effing truth about you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's untrue. I think you're just being very critical for no reason and just trying to bring me down.
Okay, who won that?
I think I won that.
Okay, big or small?
I'd say big.
Big or huge?
I'd just say big.
Big. Okay, great. I agree. I thought it was excellent, but it's not yet huge, and we're going to keep doing role reversals till we get to huge. Now, and this time you'll attack me, and when you respond with externalization of voices, there's three main strategies you can use. Although you can throw in any technique actually, but. One is self-defense, which is what you used. Another is called the acceptance paradox, where you win by finding truth in the statement. And the third is called the CAT, or counterattack technique. And you were hinting at that. Actually, that's where you attack that that voice, that voice in your head. And then another technique you can use is one called be specific, where you transform vague criticisms into what are we talking about. So you be the negative, and we'll see if we can get up to huge. I can't guarantee it. We might have to go back and forth a number of times and working together, but we're pretty close. So hit me with that. And
Joshua, you you're disfigured, and because of that you're unlovable, and that's an unavoidable thing you're going to have to deal with.
And can you tell me in what way I'm disfigured?
Yeah, so you had acne growing up, and now you have scars as a result, and that makes you look different from everyone else.
Okay. Well, thank you, wise guru. I'm enlightened now, and see that I'm some kind of ugly monster who's going to scare all the women in the United States. But to quote the Buddha again, what you're saying is a lot of horse shit, and you know it. And but it's true. I'm not perfect, and I did have acne, and I do have scars, and there's plenty of Hollywood movie stars who have some kind of fantastic looks, but it's just kind of a bullshit thing that you're saying, because I have a lot about me that's attractive, that I can be proud of, including my love, my humility. I've built a tremendous body that 99% of men would be the envy of, and 100% of women would love to touch and fondle, but there is one thing that's very, very unattractive about me that you didn't mention.
What's that, Joshua?
That's that effing crappy voice in my head belittling me and constantly putting me down. And when I'm not listening to you, I'm feeling pretty damn happy. So to quote the Buddha and Jesus alike, shut the F up. So who won?
You won.
Big or small?
This is big.
Big or huge?
It's massive.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Right. And how did I get to massive?
There was a lot of acceptance there. There was acknowledgement of things that you've done, I've done, and it felt so authentic, and so okay with the way things are, and controlling the controllables, and not letting that get in your way and be something that's like defeating and draining.
Yeah, I used all three: self-defense, self-acceptance, and the counter-attack technique, and be specific.
Yeah,
I
that's
use
right.
those four strategies. As an aside, this is getting a little long, but we're actually close to the end. But I mean, if you like this and want it to be published, you could do a part 1 and a part 2.
Yeah, actually, that I just checked the time, and very sadly, I do need to end this conversation, and it's been fantastic, and I don't want to say it's been a dream, but to be able to talk to you and experience this, David, has been a tremendous opportunity.
You don't have 3 minutes or 2 minutes?
Okay, I can do 2 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll speed it up and bring it to conclusion.
Okay.
So we've beaten that one down. I'm not attractive.
We have,
But let's see if you can do it now. Okay. Face the facts, Joshua. You're just not attractive. Burns is just trying to bullshit you. It's just a fact. You're all scarred up. You look like horrific.
Yeah.
If women don't pass out, they'll vomit.
Yeah. Well, even if he is trying to bullshit me, it's okay to have what are thought of as flaws, and there are plenty of things that I have going for me that provide a lot of richness and value to my life, and those make me more attractive to people, and provide me with a sense of meaning, and really allow me to then help and contribute to the lives of other people. So regardless of, any superficial appearances, that doesn't define me as a person.
Yeah. Who won?
I'd say that I won.
Big or small?
I'd say big.
Big or huge?
I'd say huge. I thought that was a
Oh,
huge
okay. But I want to remind you, you maybe beat me on that one, but you won't be successful, and that's just a fact.
Yeah, well, I could fail at what I'm currently doing, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to be successful in any other host of possibilities and avenues of becoming a professional or providing for a family or contributing to the lives of my family and friends. So defining success in a very small way, I might fail, but broadly, I think I'm going to live a life that I ultimately want to live because I'm working hard at it and I have a lot of things going for me.
Yeah, but you're not going to live the life you want to live. I mean, that's just a fact. You're going to live a real shitty life.
Yeah, I think that's untrue. I might struggle and I might have to work hard to kind of get out of that sometimes, but I think ultimately I'm going to be happy and I'm going to be fulfilled and I'm going to be surrounded by people that I love and people who love me, and that is worth more than any superficial success or failure.
Who's winning?
I think I'm winning.
Big or small?
I'd say I'm winning big.
Big or huge?
Huge.
Yeah, awesome. And now let's just get the final thing. How anxious are you feeling at this moment on 0 to 100?
Yeah, I don't feel anxious at all. I'd say 0.
Sad?
0.
Guilty?
0.
Inadequate?
0.
Lonely?
0.
Embarrassed?
0, surprisingly, for doing this on a podcast.
Yeah, hopeless?
0.
Frustrated?
0.
And angry?
0. I think that'd be a negative if it could be.
Great. Now I have 2 homework assignments for you,
Okay.
and then we can go and you can send me some follow-up. But if there's any gorgeous lonely women hearing this podcast, you know who to contact. We've got someone you might be interested in. And then the second thing would be to ask people a question, either by sending them your photo or talking to them in person. And what you would say to them is, I'm doing a special survey on how people look and what
Okay.
people find attractive and unattractive. And I'm wondering if you could tell me or write down 3 things about my appearance that you don't like and 3 things about my appearance that you do like.
Okay.
Would you do that? Because then you'll find out what people like and dislike about the way you look.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah. Well, this has been great. Thank you for giving the extra moments, but I wanted to tie things up with a bow at the end, and it's just been an extraordinary experience for me.
Yeah.
And let's not make it the last connection.
Not at all. I'll be sure to reach out. I'm going to share everything that you have worked on, all the projects you have going on, all the products, and I hope people really do check out the podcasts you produce, check out the books you've written, and check out the app. Feeling great. It's been an absolute honor. You're a legend, and you've taught me more in this 2-hour podcast than I think almost anyone else has ever taught me about just being so warm and caring.
Thank you. My pleasure. It's been awesome for me too. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Burns.
Yeah. Bye-bye, Joshua. Hello, Rhonda. Oh, well, let's see. This is just the conclusion to the session.
Right.
But this is a week or so later. This is the follow-up. So welcome back, Joshua. And I'm eager to see your reflections back on that session. Plus, a lot has happened since then. You came to our Tuesday group, and which is training used to be limited to people, mental health professionals like clinical psychologists and like that. But now we've opened up to all, to coaches, to all types of health professionals. So I'd like to see what your experience was there in the group. It sure looked like you were doing great, and how you've been feeling since the live work. What were the take-home messages? What did you learn? Because in my experience, no one can be happy all the time, and life is filled with bumps for all of us, and so those negative feelings have a way of creeping back in, and the techniques that work for you the first time will, for the most part, work for you for the rest of your life. But you've got to know what is the thing that you learned, and what is the method that turned whatever that key distortion was around. So why don't you tell us how you're doing? I'm going to center my picture a little bit here. There we go. And so tell us what's up. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see both of you as well. David, you're looking handsome as always, and Rhonda, you're looking incredible as well.
Thank you.
It's my first time formally seeing you face to face.
Tell us more.
But the one thing, I've reflected on this quite a bit, and I've given it a lot of thought, knowing that we were going to discuss it, and on my end, like, what has it changed for me? And has there been something that's been overwhelming enough to, like, oh, wow, I can see this as a difference in my life? And the first thing I want to say, is the importance of actually experiencing the techniques. So I've listened to over 250 episodes of the podcast, and actually engaging in them with you, David, was incredibly insightful, and almost like unlocked some secret to it, which is the positive reframing component for me has been a game changer. And as someone in graduate school, someone who has, full-time job, a graduate assistantship, and then a course load on top of that, plus whatever research and other work obligations, seeing anxiety as a positive has been very helpful, from just not seeing it as overwhelming and disruptive, and seeing it as something like, oh, this is good. I'm glad it's here, because now this project I need to work on, I'll actually start working on it, rather than just being anxious and wondering, like, why I'm overwhelmingly feeling anxious. So I think being able to pin those emotions to something and saying it's having an impactful or important role in getting me to do that or accomplish that or see it through has been incredibly helpful. And if I can just relate a short story, I was getting a tattoo the other day, and I kind of thought to myself, like, wow, I wish this didn't hurt so much. And then I reframed it as, I'm glad this hurts, because if it didn't, that would probably be a big issue if I could just get stabbed with a needle and not feel anything. So I thought that specific aspect was really impactful for me, as reframing anxiety and sadness as things that have usefulness and utility.
Now, let me just ask you a quick question here, because I'm trying to write this down as fast as I can. And why was I happy that the tattoo hurt?
So I'm happy that the tattoo hurt, because it means that I have this protective function of pain, which if I didn't have that, I could be in real trouble. Right?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Absolutely. The pain is protecting me.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, aren't there people who don't experience pain because of a condition or some, whatever syndrome they have, and that's dangerous.
Yeah.
They used to isolate them and put them on an island all by themselves. What was it? I'm trying to think. Where you lose the ability to feel pain. Do you remember what it is? Anybody?
I don't know off the top of my head.
No, I do not know. That's a medical doctor question.
I used to know.
Yeah.
Well, there is something, and then what happens is people eventually they lose their hands, and because they get damaged because they can't feel pain. They kept them in like leprosy. Yeah, they called it leper's colony. Leprosy. That's the name of the disease. And it's pretty horrible. So that's a neat neat analogy. Um, Tell us more about what the live work was like for you, and how you've been feeling since.
Yeah, I would say it's also, I've noticed at, different points in my life, I've been able to be more accepting of certain qualities and features that I have. Um, and, if people have gotten to this point, they've listened to our conversation, and being able to talk about how I feel about my looks and appearance openly like that. That was actually something I've never really done. And then,
Oh, wow.
yeah, yeah. And I would always skirt around it. So I'd had therapists in the past where, maybe I'd mention it and they would kind of allow me to skirt around it a little bit and feel comfortable not really divulging all of the details.
Yeah.
Being able to directly kind of be face to face with that, so to speak, kind of made it so I feel comfortable telling other people that more casually now. So I was talking to a friend and kind of mentioned like, oh yeah, like I've had trouble, accepting my appearance, thinking I'm ugly or whatever it is. And it's like, that's reduced the initial inability to talk about it, or the shock of having to kind of come
Yeah.
face to face with it. So I found
Yeah.
that very powerful.
Do you think that could be an asset in dating?
Oh, incredibly so, because I don't really think about my appearance now. I just think about like, would this, if I want to talk to someone who I would be interested in, do we connect as people? Not am I attractive enough to warrant a relationship or to have
Yeah.
something
Yeah. Right.
valuable for it.
Yeah. Yeah. You can focus on the other person.
That's right.
Yeah. But do you ever say things like, I don't know if you've ever would want to lower your standards to date someone as ugly as me. Uh, Sometimes when you accept yourself, you discover the problem was never the way you were, but your shame about it, and that negative inner dialogue. And that once you accept your flaws, they become kind of an asset, something that makes you actually more desirable to other people.
Well, and I've noticed that when I would hold on to that flaw too much and try to hide it, I would be very judgmental towards others.
Oh yes, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, during my nerdy days, I was like that too. And then once I was taught how to stop being such a nerd, to where suddenly women were interested in me, I thought, wow, women are really a lot more beautiful than I thought.
Yeah.
They're so awesome.
And listening to you, Joshua, and reading the transcript of your personal work, it seemed like there's a theme of I'm not good enough. And that just seems like such a universal theme. I know that I did personal work with David and Matt May with that exact thought.
Yeah.
And so I know firsthand, and I know a lot of therapists and people in general have that too. And what was it like for you to work around that theme?
Yeah. It's liberating from the perspective of I've been able to do a lot of really cool stuff, and I've been able to develop a great podcast, and I've been able to kind of pursue my education. I've been able to coach people to top 5 or whatever in the nation, and it's not that I'm defined by those things, but it's really cool I've been able to do it, and then know that I'm capable of doing that instead of it's like this weird thing where all I wanted to do was get a PhD, and when I got into the program, I could feel myself diminishing it, like, oh well, this one doesn't count. And being able to address that like not good enough component and be like, actually, it is good enough. It is what I need and what's right for me. That's been really liberating. I guess that's like the word of it, but it just feels good. Rather than kind of that imposter syndrome. And it's not that I don't feel that. I mean, David graciously allowed me to be in the Tuesday group, and I felt that's the immediate sensation I had was, why am I here? Who am I? What have I done? What do I know? But instead of giving into that, it's like, okay, I'll just contribute where I can and listen to people who know a lot and see what it's all about. And I think that
What was it like for you in the Tuesday group? What did you think of it?
I loved it personally, because I think going like a deep dive into a technique, which was the achievement addiction. And in watching you and Jill role play, and then talk through different scenarios or how it could be, reversed, and then having everyone break out and then practice themselves, I thought was very, very insightful. And, as someone who really appreciates like a lot of context and information, I felt like I was, a lot more understanding of something like achievement addiction after the fact. So I thought it was fantastic. And I can only imagine how beneficial it would be if you covered, all of the techniques or as many as you could come up with, really. So I thought it was a great addition to.
Who was your small group leader?
Oh,
you remember?
I can't remember her name. I do remember there's a woman who's Australian in the group.
Oh yeah,
and then there was a guy who was a general, like I think it was a physician, like a general practitioner. And then I think maybe Libby might have been a woman who was also in the group. But the leader, her name just escapes me.
Yeah. Was that fun also, the small group? Did you like the small group?
Oh, it was great. It was so much fun.
Yeah. It's great having you in the group. Let's see, I had a bunch of questions that my mind went blank, but there are several vitally important questions we have for you, and Rhonda will now verbalize them.
Well, how was it for you identifying the distortions in your negative thoughts?
So I thought, again, it's interesting because I've seen a therapist for months and months and months, and I've had one prior to the one I'm currently seeing. And I felt like we never really were able to sink our teeth into the distortions that I have. I think there's this idea of like acceptance, and I even ended up listening to a book that she recommended about acceptance, like The Heart of the Buddha or something. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but I never felt like there was always a gap between being accepting and like cognitively knowing I should accept myself. And that was because I don't think we really had any like techniques or really practice that would make it stick, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So like actually engaging with it with you, David, and engaging with the distortions really helped me feel what that was actually like versus just like intellectualizing it.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let's do some of that right now. We don't have time and the need for a whole other session, but let's do some relapse prevention training using externalization of voices, and we'll mix two kinds of negative thoughts together. You had 4 originally. Give me a couple more of your negative thoughts, old ones, ones we did in the session, or any other ones that you've had, like I'm an imposter or what. You just give me a couple of those.
Okay. I will say I'm not good enough is one that probably is like an overarching distortion.
No, I'm only looking for a distorted thought.
Oh, okay. Like one that
was an attempt at humor.
that was very sharp, very sharp.
I'm not good enough. I'll write that one down. Yeah, good, great.
I think I'm hopeless is one that I often come back to. That's like a general distorted thought.
Okay, that's great, and then you'll have a relapse at some point, and all your negative thoughts and feelings will temporarily come back with the same intensity that they have in the past. And then what are some of the negative thoughts you'll have? Like, this shows the therapy didn't work. The therapy was just a Band-Aid. Give me some of that stuff.
Yeah, and right before I do that, I want to say the fact that I'm having a harder time thinking of distorted thoughts now is probably speaks to, our experience together is like, I haven't really thought about that stuff since.
Yeah, right.
So I would say, the treatment didn't work. It didn't work on me. I'm different. Or there's something special about me that won't allow it to change my thoughts.
Oh yeah, those are great. And now Rhonda and David will be called Joshua. Will be the negative Joshua, and you can be the positive Joshua. And we'll take turns attacking you with these 4 thoughts, and when we'll see who won. And if we need, we'll do role reversals and so forth. Which one do you want to?
Wait, can I just confirm what the thoughts are? So
Yeah,
therapy
yeah,
didn't.
I'm not good enough. Number two, I'm hopeless. Number three, this relapse, that will come in the future, shows that the therapy didn't work on me, and it didn't work because I'm different. So these techniques can't help me.
Okay.
And I love these because they're unique to you, but they're also almost everybody has these kinds of thoughts. And when you have see someone else thinking them, you say, "Oh gosh, that's so irrational." But when you have them yourself, you think, "Oh, this is really true." So, which one do you want us to hit you with first?
I would like to start with the thoughts about, oh, this therapy or this treatment wouldn't work.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, you want Rhonda to hit you with that?
Yeah, I think she would hit harder.
Yeah.
I do hit really hard, Joshua, and I hate to be mean, but I do have a mean streak, and I just want you to know that this therapy didn't really work on you.
Yeah, well,
And the fact that you're depressed today proves it. Say that.
And the fact
Rhonda.
that you're depressed today, it proves the therapy didn't work on you.
yeah. Well, I understand that I could be depressed, and feel down at some point, and I'm okay with that because I think there are a lot of positives that come from feeling down and feeling sad, and kind of in knowing that, I also know that eventually I'm going to feel better, because things tend to work like that. Like I felt bad in the past, and I've felt better afterward. Um, so while that's true, I don't think it's reason enough for me to identify myself as someone who's just going to be depressed or going to be sad.
So who won that? The positive Joshua or the negative attacking Joshua?
I would say that I won that.
And did you win it small or large?
I felt like it was large.
Was it large or huge?
I mean, I felt like it was huge. I think if I told myself that, I'd be very convinced.
Yeah, it sounded huge to me too. Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job, folks. And now, I know that Rhonda version of you beat her down, but you're not going to be able to beat me down because you see the fact is that you are hopeless, and the fact that you've slipped back and you're feeling down now proves that. And I didn't want to upset you or anything, but I just want you to know that you're going to be hopeless. You're going to feel like this for the rest of your life, and you know it. You can feel it.
Yeah. Maybe I will be hopeless, and maybe I will be hopeless for the rest of my life. And, I guess that's something I can live with, and something I can be okay with. And regardless, I still get to do the things that I love to do, and still get to be a part of a community of great people that I have, next to me. So even if I feel hopeless, I can still share experiences with people and still share my life with them.
Great. Who won that one?
I think I won.
Big or small?
I didn't feel as confident in that one. So I would
Yeah, right. And part of the problem was that you agreed to something. Maybe I will be hopeless for the rest of my life, but I can still function as a hopeless, pathetic, miserable creature.
Yeah.
And it wasn't exactly the same as joy and happiness.
Yeah.
So let's try a role reversal. You hit Rhonda first, and then hit David. You be the negative, and we'll be the positive.
Okay. Joshua, I know you have been feeling hopeless, and that feeling's never going to go away because you're just not really worth having any hope. It's something that you're never going to encounter.
Wow. That's pretty mean. And that makes me feel really sad that you're saying that to me. Actually, I have to say that I'm kind of a person that feels sad every once in a while. I tend toward feeling depressed, and I do feel sad when things, sometimes when events lead me to feel sad, or every once in a while I even wake up feeling sad for no kind of no reason whatsoever. And I know that I have overcome that sadness in the past, and I feel confident that I will overcome it in the future. And there's always pain in life. I can't avoid it. That's what happens. And there are also moments of joy and utter happiness. And while I don't look forward to feeling hopeless, it does feel, or sad, it hurts. I know that I'm going to get to the other side of it and feel joy and love, because I'm hanging out with really cool people and I'm doing really cool things and I'm reaching the goals that I have in my life. Who won that?
I thought you won that.
Really? Was that big or large, small or large or huge?
Just two, big or small.
Big or small?
I'd say big.
Big or huge?
I would say huge, and the reason why I would say that is I
Yeah.
connected with, maybe I tend to feel this way, or maybe this does come up for me often, and that acceptance of it not being permanent, and then also like there are great things I get to be involved with and accomplish and do. That really could kind of, for me, put like a really nice spin on it.
Cool.
You want to hear another version? That was a beautiful version. You want to hear a different style?
That sounds
Same
great.
thought?
Yeah.
Hit me with it.
All right, Joshua. Here's the cold hard truth. You're always.
Oh, yeah, I love truth. Yeah, and you're a philosopher, and I'm sure you'll tell it like it is. Sock it to me, big guy.
Yeah. So you're meant to be hopeless. There's no way you're ever going to experience any form of hope, and that's just the burden you have to bear.
Okay, well, thank you for reminding me of that. I can always count on you when I'm lonely to get on my shoulder and say some nasty things in my ear. But the fact is, I'm not at all hopeless. I have felt like that on times, and I've felt joyous at times, and my feelings change all the time, just like everyone's feelings change. But I have a much bigger problem than hopelessness.
What's that?
Listening to your bullshit. Cut the F up, to quote the Buddha.
Yeah. I thought that was great.
Yeah. And it's just a little different style. And that's called the counterattack technique. And it's just intended to remind ourselves that the problem is never some scar on my face from my acne, or the fact that I'm having a bad mood, or that I lost a weightlifting competition, or whatever. But it's our thoughts, and it's talking to ourselves in a really mean, spirited way. Like, here's another one. Let's do the double standard, Joshua. I'll be a clone of Joshua. And a dear friend of yours, but I look like you. I went to all the same schools. I'm the same, exactly the same, but a different person. Could I talk to you for a minute, Joshua?
Yeah, of course.
Right now, I'm feeling down and kind of hopeless. What would you say to me? Does that mean I am hopeless and I'll be hopeless for the rest of my life?
No, I don't think you're going to be hopeless for the rest of your life. I think it's just a feeling that you're having, and it's not at all reflective of who you are, not at all reflective of what you've done, not at all reflective of your background, your upbringing, any of that. I think it's just a transient thing you're going to experience. And eventually you're going to be out of that and into greener pastures.
Yeah, is that true, or are you just bullshitting me to try to make me feel good? I like what you're saying, but is that absolutely true?
It's absolutely true, 100%.
It's absolutely true that I won't be feeling this way all the time.
That's true.
Oh, awesome. I like that.
Yeah, that was great.
Okay, let's do the last two, and then we'll be out of here. It's your turn, Rhonda.
Okay, Joshua, sorry to go back to my mean streak, but I just want to remind you that you are not good enough.
Yeah, well, what specifically isn't good enough?
Okay. And
Because,
who won that?
I just curious because if I don't know, then there's something I can't work on or change. And if I know and I don't want to change it, then that's perfectly okay too.
Mm-hmm. Well, so who won that?
I won that.
Was that small or large?
I think it was large.
Large or huge?
Huge, because when
Yeah.
I know there's something specific, I feel like I have the power to change it. And to relate this just to weightlifting a little bit, I like to look at those problems in the same way. It's like, if I know why, we're not making progress or seeing a result, I can change it and I can have a hand in that. If you're just saying this is bad, that doesn't give me a bunch of information. If you just say it's good too, it doesn't give me a bunch of information. It's like, what specifically is good about it? What specifically is bad or could be changed?
Yes.
So,
I loved that answer.
yeah, thank you.
And you know what the Buddha said recently?
What's that?
Said you can either study Buddhism or weightlifting, and it's the exact same thing.
I'll have to put that quote on my podcast.
Yeah, right. Is there anything else we can hit you with? Oh, you're different, Joshua. You're different. So the treatment didn't work, and you're screwed for life. Face it, there's some terrible defect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, personally, I like being different. I think that it makes the world a more interesting place, and I think that difference is going to allow me to kind of stand out and be a really valuable part of the people I coach and the friends and family that I have. And I don't think that means the treatment isn't going to work because I'm different. I just think it means that I have a unique skill set and ability to kind of be a part of the communities I'm in. So yeah, I think it's going to work.
Who won?
I won.
Big or small?
I'd say big.
Big or huge?
I'd say huge.
Yeah. Great. Wonderful. Is there anything left? Anything we can hit you with?
Well, I think what's really what I'm really appreciative of and what I found very useful is that I don't know if I had heard the relapse prevention training example on the podcast. So to experience it actually was very, very helpful, because those thoughts about the treatment not working are the exact same as the thoughts that preceded the treatment about myself.
Yeah.
They're no different, and you're using the same tools and techniques to say, like, this isn't really like something I have to take as truth at face value.
No, I thank you. It's always so great talking to you and working with you. I had a question that I promised myself to ask you. When you're coaching people who are probably, let's say, I guess the majority of them on some level are trying to get into weightlifting and improving their bodies and improving their strength, and they need coaching. A lot of the coaching you do is your immense amount of technical knowledge involving methods, frequency, which techniques for which muscles, nutritional health, general kind of issues. How much of what you do has to do with emotional issues and struggles that the people are going through?
So it's kind of it's really and I think it's important that you brought that up, because when I first started coaching, I focused on kind of the sets and reps and performance, and now I'm just so people focused that like the performance matters. If I'm coaching Danny Myers, she placed 5th in the nation twice in a row. So last year she was 5th, this year she was 5th. Performance definitely matters, but how she feels, like, her as a person matters first, and then we can layer on the means and methods, because that stuff's just, I mean, it's kind of like it's stimulus response. You do something, you get a response, but making sure the person who's carrying that out is cared for and taken care of, to me, is the most important thing. I haven't always been like that, but I think the resources you put out, David, the resources great people like Stephen Hayes have put out, and all the kind of the psychologists I've listened to and read about, it's reminded me that people are at the heart of this, and then performance is just kind of like an adjunct to that. So I'd say it's very, very important.
Well, we'll look forward to learning more from you as you learn more about the team techniques and how to use the 5 secrets of effective communication for empathy and positive reframing, and then using externalization of voices. They'll say, man, I've got this kick-ass weightlifting coach, and he uses empathy and externalization of voices. Oh, well, what techniques are those? I haven't heard of those yet. Oh, those are the most important if you really want to achieve greatness.
Right.
I love it.
Type of thing. But it'll be fun to see how your philosophy and methodology evolve. And it's just been a joy to get to know you a little bit and to work with you and to see your inner self and to admire your enthusiasm, your energy, your warmth, your openness. It's just been a tremendous pleasure and an honor and a treat. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you both so much. It's an honor. David, you're a role model to so many. And Rhonda, you're an absolute great host and contributor. And much appreciated.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate how open you were and how willing you were to be vulnerable with everyone, because I think your vulnerability really showed.
Yeah, it's going to allow you. Yeah, it's got, because see, some people in athletics make a huge impact. And certainly it's nice to have that athletic ability as kind of a platform, but how many use it as a boomerang to get up to a higher level and touch people who aren't weightlifting, but they will still love you and learn from you and appreciate you and benefit from your struggles and your warmth and your openness. And that stuff is just, you can't replace.
And let me know if you ever come to California so I can use my matchmaking skills.
Yeah. And ladies, by the way, if you're looking for an awesome hunk, move fast, because the offer won't be there indefinitely.
Thank you. Thank you both.